Okay. So as we have seen that I have divided this angle into two parts, and if we go on to add these two angles, the answer is going to be equal to 90 degrees because whole of this angle is equal to 90 degree. So when we have two angles uh, whose sum is equal to 90 degree, then these two angles are called complementary angles. Similarly, if we have a straight line, and if I make uh, a line over here, then we can see that if I make two angles on this point, one over here and the other one over here, then these two angles, their sum would be equal to 180 degrees because it is an angle which is being formed at a straight line. So whenever an angle is formed at a straight line, the whole of the angle is equal to 180 degrees. And uh, these two angles, when they would be added to each other, they would be forming an angle like this. So their sum should be equal to 180 degrees. And such angles are called supplementary angles. There is another situation where we get the angles equal to 180 degrees. For example, if we have a line over here, another line over here, and these two lines are basically parallel to each other. They are in the same direction. And then if I make a line like this, as I will be explaining it later, then you would see that the angle formed over here and the angle formed over here, their sum is going to be equal to 180 degrees. These are called interior angles, and these are also one of the type of the supplementary angles that we have. Okay, now moving on. Uh, the next thing that we need to know is what are adjacent angles. So adjacent angles are on a straight line. To be particular about it, now we are discussing adjacent angles on a straight line. So adjacent angles on a straight line are angles which have three properties. Number one, their vertex is same. Vertex is the point where angle is formed. So as we can see that we have two angles, angle A and angle B over here, and both of them are being formed at a point O. So their vertex must be same. Secondly, uh, for adjacent angle, one angle arm is common. So angle is always formed between two arms or between two sides. So if we look at angle A, we can see that one of its arm is AO and the other one is OC. If we look at angle B, one of its arm is OB and the other one is OC. And this arm OC is common among these two angles. So that is why these two angles are called uh, adjacent angle, or one of the condition is again fulfilled. Now the third thing is they lie on opposite side of the common arm or common side. So we can see that their common arm or common side is OC. One of the angle is to the right of this side and the other angle is to the left of this side. So this is how they lie on the opposite sides of the common arm. So whenever these three conditions are fulfilled, vertex is same, one of the arm is common, and the angles lie on the opposite sides of the common arm or common side, then these angles are called adjacent angles. When the adjacent angles are formed on a straight line, so we can see that they are being uh, summed or added to give an answer of 180 degrees. So now we can complete the sentence that the sum of adjacent angles on a straight line is always equal to 180 degrees. They would be supplementary angles. those adjacent angles which are being formed on a straight line. Now, they have a abbreviation. Whenever we will be using this argument in our questions, we would be writing this argument in some short words, and that would be adjacent angles on a straight line. So through this abbreviation, we can represent this argument that two angles were adjacent angles and they were adjacent angles on a straight line. So their sum must be equal to 180 degrees. For example, we have two examples over here. The first one, in the first one, we can see that there is a point O, vertex O. And over this vertex, two angles are being formed, angle A and angle of 120 degree. Then we can see that one arm for both the angles is common. And lastly, we can see that one of the angle is to the right of the common arm and the other one is to the left of the common arm. So these are adjacent angles and their sum is 180 degree because they are being formed at a straight line. So if I add these two angles, we would get 180 degree. And the reason that we would be writing is adjacent angles on a straight line. That is why we have added them and we have written their answer as 180 degree. So if I try to find out the value of A from this relation, we would be getting A equal to 58 degrees. So the value of A is going to be 58. The same thing we can experience over here. Now we have three angles. The vertex that is being used over here is again O. The first angle is B. So this is the side OC, which is common between angle B and angle 65, and they lie on the opposite side. So these two are adjacent angles. Then if we talk about OD, then this is the common arm between these two angles. And these two angles are being formed on the opposite side of this common side. So these two again are adjacent. Now, if we look at the three angles as a whole, then we can see that their sum must be equal to 180 degrees because they are being formed on a straight line. All of these are adjacent angles on a straight line. So to find out the value of B, we would be moving both the angles to the other side and they would get subtracted by 180. So the answer that we would be getting for B will be 20 degrees. Moving on to the next part, again, we have a common vertex over here, O, where three angles, 3C, 100 and 2C are being formed. And between every two angles, one of the arm is common. So they are adjacent angles. Again, this arm is common between these two angles and these are also adjacent angles. Now, if we add these three angles, 100 plus 2C plus 3C, their sum is going to be equal to 180 degrees. So we will be having 5C equal to 80 and C will be equal to 80 divided by 5. So the answer for C would become 16 degrees. So this is how the concept of adjacent angles on a straight line is used to find out the different values.
We try to explain complex concepts in simple language and with effective examples. If you like the video and the way we explain the subject, consider liking this tutorial, commenting on it and subscribing to our channel and press the bell icon, so that you stay updated and get notified when we upload more videos. Thanks for watching.